Whoa, such a huge audience. Well, never mind. Good evening, Vienna. Good evening, Vienna. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lalita Prasida from India, a schoolgirl studying in class 9th in prestigious Delhi public school, Damanjodi, in the Nalco township, Asia's largest bauxite mines. And then it's a quite remote area in the Koraput district. It's in southern part of Odisha. Very few people might be knowing, or rather nobody might be knowing. Interestingly and incidentally, I'm in front of you along with my guide teacher, inspiring teacher and friend, we can say, Pallavi madam. She is sitting over here. And then, yeah. Coming to the topic, my parents used to say that a decade back when they were in their school days, there used to be water everywhere around, like pure water, and they did not have to purchase it, and then very little of impure water. But after decades, during my school days, I find that there is a lot of impure water around rather than pure water, and people are struggling, or we can say striving, to get the clean water. And potable water is nowadays very difficult to get, and people are buying. Like, it's not available in free. So, coming to the project, my topic is, what if we could clean the wastewater with corncobs? Recently, I have been going to or participating in the Google Science Fair 2015, organized at California. And I was awarded the Scientific Americans Community Impact Award with the support of my family. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the project. Yes, there are three major sources of wastewater. One is the domestic source, the second is the agricultural source, and the third one is industrial source. And there are basically many of the waste products released from these three major sources, so which we use it in our daily life. And there are quite many solutions found out for this particular problem, that is water purification, and my idea, or this idea, is an addition to this. And then the solution is, I have used a part of this plant, which is, its scientific name is Zea mays, and then it is well known as corn, or maize simply. And then when the corn is immature, the immature corn is used as a food product, and then the mature corn is used as a cooking fuel. So corn is used, the plants are there, whatever leaves are there in its outer covering portion, those are used, the seeds are used. So what to do with the cobs? Well, there's a solution for this. But nowadays, what people do is either they throw it or they burn it. When the cobs are burnt, it causes even more environmental pollution, which is not at all acceptable. And when it is thrown away, the cobs, it is seen that it cannot biodegrade very easily. It takes long time to biodegrade, and it is found that animals also do not take it, as there is a hemicellulose content in it, which would not be degradable easily, and it would block or act as an obstructing agent in the alimentary canal of the animals, which would cause harm to the animals. And here are a few pics when I was collecting the corn from a village, or the farmers. And then here is the huge design, or the experimental setup of my project. There are 5 different layers through which the wastewater has to pass. The first 4 layers consists of the different forms of corncobs. The first one is the longitudinal section of corncob, the second one being the small pieces of corncobs. The third one is the grinded powder, or the granule form of corncobs. Well, it took a lot of time doing it because it wasn't possible in an electric grinder. Then huge amount of effort, energy was required to do it with the motor and the pestle. And then the next one is the corncob charcoal. And then this is traditionally obtained charcoal. Its name is sand charcoaling method. I have given it. And then at last, it's the fine sand, where further suspended particles or the impurities would get absorbed. And at last, it's the usable water. Though it cannot be portable, it can be used for any other purpose. And then here are a few pictures at the right-hand side, where there are different forms of corncobs. And the third one is different forms of corncobs were sun-dried. The next one is, this is the like a replica, or it resembles, this is an artificial tank which resembles a pond water. I'll be explaining it to you later. There's a thing. Well, so let me say you why I've selected only this particular part of the plant, or this particular agricultural waste to purify the wastewater. Well, it has quite many advantages. Those are efficient, cost-effective, and as you can see, no operational skill mainly, because even the illiterate farmers of an area, or my village, or any village, those people can even know about this project, and then they can be implementing it in their villages and community areas. Here are a few lab tests which I was doing from last 2 years, and then it was found out that when I tested for pH value of corncob charcoal and corncob powder, it was found that if the pH is of a substance increases, and the electrical conductivity also of a substance, when it increases, more amount of absorption would be there, and then the amount of absorption capacity would increase. So these are the few pics at CSIR. It's an institute, scientific research institute, where I was doing all my lab work. And then here comes the scientific portion and all that stuff. Yeah, these are the SEM microscopic. That means scan electronic microscopic photographs or images or morphology. And then I have basically made 2 methods of forming the charcoal, corncob charcoal, and those are, one is a mechanized method, which is formed from the tube furnace, or mechanical method, as I was saying. And then another one is the sand charcoaling, or the traditional, ideally preparing the corncobs, the charcoal. And then, so these are the results of the corncob charcoal formed by the tube furnace method. Here is a view, and this is the like 10 micrometers view. And here is a magnified view of the same thing. And here it was found out that as the amount of holes, or the size of the pores increases, then more amount of contaminants would get into the hole, and then, or the pores, and then the water would get purified. The next one is the sand charcoaling method. Here is the same thing, but I wanted to make 2 different methods of making the charcoal, because there are like many of the, I just wanted to compare between the results of the 2, which would be better. So it was found out that sand charcoaling was a better way than the mechanized or the tube furnace charcoal. And here is the SEM, the same scanned electronic microscopic view of the sand charcoal corncob charcoal, and this is the magnified view. You can see the same thing, the pore size of the pores as it increases, contaminants, yeah, those are. And then, yeah, contaminants would get stuck into it. And then the spherical or the circular structures, which you are finding just beside the pores, those are known as the appendages or the papillae. And then what is found out that lead, the main industrial contaminant, or a heavy metal which is causing a lot of problem nowadays, that is getting absorbed 99.2%, and just because of these papillae. And as this amount of papillae would increase, more amount of lead, of course, all the heavy metals or the contaminants would get absorbed. Yeah, this, I was saying about this. The absorption capacity of lead and cadmium when they were tested, it was found out, the result was the corncob charcoal formed by the sand charcoaling method. This was better. These results were better, like 99.2%, as I was saying, and then the rest of the results as it is seen. Here comes the conclusion at last, what I wanted to say, that corncobs are an efficient, cheap, and a really great way to purify the wastewater, hopefully. Here comes the implementation part, where it is seen that in the domestic areas, in the outlet pipes of individual houses, the same setup of the different forms of corncobs, and then at the last, fine sand. These would be, the wastewater would be passing, or the whatever is contaminants, sewage, whatever waste would be there, wastewater, those things would be passing through the different forms of corncobs. And my main objective was to purify the wastewater at the source. And here it is, the result that I have to implement it still. I'm just with the project till now, with the idea. I have to implement it. And here, it's the same thing, the large pieces, small pieces, and then grinded powder are the granules of corncobs, charcoal, and then fine sand. At last is the usable water. And then you see, like, the amount of wastewater would be equivalent to the amount of usable water which would be done, which we'll be getting after filtration. And here is the same, in the industrial areas, the implementation of the experiment. And then tons and tons of these different forms of corncobs would be required. And nowadays what is happening is that industries are putting the untreated water directly into the rivers, which is spoiling the aquatic life forms and all. So then treating the wastewater at the source, as I was saying, would be really helpful for the aquatic areas too, like mainly industries. And it's the same thing, large pieces, small pieces, grinded powder, charcoal, and then for water can be reused for the industries. And then here is the thing, what I was talking about, like villagers could also use the same project. Agricultural and community impact, like what would be the impact of this project on community? Well, the ponds and the ponds are the main source of clean water for the villagers, and means it is seen that the fertilizers and the pesticide runoff also would come to the same water source, nearest water source, which is the pond water. So it becomes quite difficult for the villagers or the farmers living in that locality to get the clean or the pure water. Here, what I have done is tied the corn cobs to the bamboo sticks, as it is biodegradable, and then placing them in the water bed of the pond. And then like whenever the fertilizer and the pesticide runoff would be coming over here, the contaminants would get stuck into the cell walls or the holes of the pores of the corn cobs. And then by immobilizing the contaminants, it is seen that the fertilizers are stuck in, and then the villagers could also use the water again. And here is a picture, or it's a statistics. Wherever the corn production is more, those countries are marked over here. Hopefully, when my idea would be implemented, these would also be rich countries, one among the rich countries, because they would be like selling the corns to the different countries, and then they would be getting the money. And here is the water stress of different countries by 2040, over here, 2040. As I was saying, there are many rich countries, some of the richest countries of the world, which would be facing water shortage in the near future. Right now, they are rich countries, and now itself they are buying the water, like these are the areas. Australia, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Dubai. Now itself they are buying the pure water, so what would be their condition when they would be like, after, or we can say 2040, what would be the condition of these countries? Well, don't say to anyone. I would suggest these countries to start producing corn plants, so that they would also they would also be able to get the pure water in their country itself. So my ultimate wish is to see each and every person getting access to clean water, and no person should die due to the scarcity of clean drinking water. Thank you.